Long before humans knew they were being watched, silent eyes followed them through the dark. Far beyond the reach of human sensors, alien observers studied the small and damaged fleet. Their records described humans as fragile, emotional, and easy to break. The observers believed the end would come quickly. A species chased from its home should fall apart. Fear should rule them. Panic should spread. Surrender should follow. But that was not what the aliens saw. The human fleet moved slowly through space, its ships scarred and tired. Many were old. Some were barely working. Fuel was low, food was counted, and hope was thin. Still, the fleet did not stop. At its center flew a heavy warship, dark and worn, carrying the weight of command. Captain John Adams stood on its bridge each day, calm on the outside even when pressure crushed him inside. John Adams did not pretend the situation was good. He spoke plainly to his officers. Supplies were short. Enemies were near. Mistakes had already cost lives. But he also refused to freeze. Each day he made choices. Some were small, some were painful, and some were risky. He listened more than he spoke. He allowed debate. When someone brought a better idea, he used it even if it was not his own. The aliens noticed this first. Human leaders did not cling to pride. They adjusted. In the medical bays, Dr. Emily Harris moved from bed to bed. She slept little and worked until her hands shook. The wounded came from many ships. Some wore uniforms. Others were civilians pulled from burning vessels. Emily did not separate them. Pain was pain. Fear was fear. A child crying in a corner mattered as much as an injured pilot. When supplies ran low, she made hard decisions, but she never stopped caring. She spoke gently. She explained what she was doing. When someone died, she stayed with them until the end. The alien observers recorded this with confusion. In many species, care ended when survival was threatened. Humans did the opposite. Under pressure, they cared more. Across the fleet, arguments were common. Crews fought over rations. Officers disagreed over routes. Civilians questioned military orders. Voices were raised. Tempers flared. To the aliens, this looked like weakness. Their models predicted collapse within days. Yet collapse never came. After every argument, something strange happened. Humans talked again. They adjusted schedules. They shared food. They changed plans. They did not erase conflict. They worked through it. On one supply ship, an engine failure left the vessel drifting. The aliens expected it to be abandoned. Instead, two smaller ships slowed down, risking their own safety to help. Crews worked together using mismatched tools and half-working parts. The repair was ugly and slow, but it worked. The damaged ship rejoined the fleet. The alien observers marked another note. Humans accepted inefficiency if it meant saving one another. Captain Adams watched the stars from the bridge during quiet hours. He knew they were being hunted. He did not know about the aliens watching beyond that threat. He only knew his people were tired. Each decision weighed heavier than the last. He feared making the wrong call. He feared losing more lives. But fear did not stop his hands from moving. It did not stop his voice from giving orders. Fear walked beside him, not ahead of him. Dr. Harris saw fear every day. She saw it in shaking hands and silent stares. She also saw something else. After treatments, people helped each other sit up. Pilots visited injured civilians. Children drew pictures and taped them to metal walls. These small acts meant nothing to alien records, but they meant everything to survival. The observers struggled to update their models. Humans did not behave as a single unit, yet they did not fall apart. They did not rely on one rule or one voice. They bent without breaking. A junior officer once suggested splitting the fleet to move faster. Others argued it would be safer to stay together. The debate lasted hours. Finally, Adams chose a middle path. The fleet stayed together, but scouts moved ahead in rotating shifts. It was not perfect. It was human. The aliens expected strict order or total chaos. They found neither. Days passed. Then weeks. The fleet still moved. Losses came, but learning followed. When a mistake was made, it was discussed openly. No one pretended to be perfect. Failure became instruction. This confused the observers deeply. Their own civilizations erased failure. Humans examined it. One alien analyst finally recorded a new phrase in the archive. Humans resist through continuation. They did not resist by winning battles. They resisted by refusing to stop. Each small choice pushed the end further away. Each shared burden lightened the weight. The observers realized something unsettling. Humans did not act like a species at the edge of death. They acted like one already wounded, already grieving, and still moving. The fleet slipped deeper into space, unaware of the silent conclusion forming behind distant eyes. Humans were not predictable prey. They were not orderly. They were not efficient. They were persistent. And that, the aliens began to understand, was far more dangerous than fear. As the fleet moved deeper into dangerous space, the alien observers began a quiet test. They did not strike hard. They allowed small dangers to appear, signals that flickered too long, drifting objects that moved the wrong way, brief moments where enemy scouts could have attacked but did not. These were not accidents. They were questions. The aliens wanted to see how humans reacted when pressure was light but constant. The humans reacted in ways the observers did not expect. Commander Mark Lewis worked from a small command room filled with screens and tired people. He never trusted the same route for long. When a path looked safe, he assumed it would soon become dangerous. When sensors showed empty space, he ordered extra scans. His plans changed often. Some officers found this frustrating. Others found it comforting. At least someone was watching for the unexpected. Mark Lewis did not believe in perfect plans. He believed in flexible ones. Each day he asked for updates from engineers, pilots, and navigators. If new information came in, he changed course without shame. He did not defend old ideas just because they were his. The aliens noticed this pattern and marked it as unstable leadership. But the fleet stayed alive. During one crossing, warning alarms sounded across several ships. Small enemy fighters appeared at the edge of sensor range. They did not attack. They watched. Human pilots launched quickly, unsure if this was a trap. Among them was David Clark, a fighter pilot with an old ship and a tired engine. The encounter went badly. A sudden energy surge damaged several fighters. Communications failed. 2 ships spun out of control. The aliens expected panic. They expected pilots to flee or freeze. David Clark did neither. He saw one fighter losing power and another trailing smoke. Retreat would have been safer. Logic said to pull back and save what could be saved. But David remembered the people behind him. He slowed down, putting his own ship at risk. He guided the damaged fighters step by step, speaking calmly through broken signals. His engine overheated. Warning lights flashed. Still he stayed. One by one the fighters made it back to the fleet. David's ship limped in last, barely holding together. The aliens recorded the event and flagged it. Humans chose risk for each other, even during tests. On the navigation deck, Anna Wright worked with charts that never stayed the same. Space shifted. Signals bent. Maps grew outdated within hours. Anna did not follow one rule or one formula. She invited others to speak. Engineers, junior officers, even civilian pilots shared ideas. Some were wrong. Some were useful. Anna listened to all of them. When someone asked which method was correct, she answered simply, "The one that works right now." The aliens observed this open sharing with discomfort. Their own systems relied on fixed rules. Authority flowed in one direction. Humans allowed information to move freely. It looked messy. It looked slow. But results came faster than predicted. A supply convoy nearly drifted into a gravity field that would have torn it apart. A junior technician noticed strange readings and spoke up. Anna trusted the warning. The fleet adjusted course just in time. No one punished the technician for questioning higher ranks. Instead, he was thanked. Alien records showed rising concern. Small threats continued. Sudden system failures. False enemy signals. Tight passages through unstable regions. Each time humans adapted. They argued. They tested ideas. They changed plans mid-action. No single human controlled everything, yet the fleet moved as one. Commander Lewis once canceled a full operation minutes before launch because new data felt wrong. He could not fully explain why. He trusted instinct shaped by experience and shared input. The aliens found this deeply troubling. Human decisions were not fully logical, yet they worked. During a later incident, a ship fell behind after losing power. Standard procedure suggested abandoning it to protect the fleet. Instead, the fleet slowed. Repairs were made under pressure. Food was shared. Time was lost. Lives were saved. The observers ran simulations again and again. Humans should have failed by now. Resource loss was too high. Stress levels were extreme. Yet adaptation increased instead of decreasing. Pilot David Clark later sat alone in his cockpit, hands still shaking from the earlier rescue. Fear had been real. He admitted it openly when asked. No one mocked him. Others shared their own fears. This honesty surprised the aliens most of all. Humans did not hide weakness. They talked about it. Anna Wright adjusted routes late into the night, knowing tomorrow they might change again. Mark Lewis approved plans knowing they might fail. None of them believed they were safe. Still they acted. The aliens began to understand a pattern. Humans did not wait for certainty. They moved without it. They accepted risk as part of existence, not something to eliminate. What looked like disorder was actually movement. What looked like weakness was flexibility. What looked like fear was awareness. As the fleet exited the dangerous region, losses were fewer than expected. The alien test ended without clear answers. Human behavior refused to settle into fixed shapes. One observer added a final note to the record: humans adapt faster than control systems can react. The fleet moved on, unaware that a simple test had become a warning. The larger attacks began without warning. This time the aliens did not hide behind small tests. Enemy forces struck hard and fast, cutting across the fleet's path. Alarms rang through every ship. Lights dimmed. People ran to stations they knew by heart. From far away the alien observers focused all attention on the human response. This was the moment their models predicted collapse. It did not happen. Lieutenant Paul Turner launched with the first wave of fighters. He had trained using old battle patterns passed down through years of conflict. Those patterns said how to form up, when to break, and when to retreat. But the enemy did not move as expected. Their attacks shifted too quickly. Paul realized the old rules would lead his squadron straight into a trap. So he broke them. Instead of holding formation, he split his fighters into small pairs. Each pair moved independently, changing speed and direction without warning. It was risky. Communication was harder. Control was weaker. But the enemy fire spread thin, unsure where to strike next. 2 human ships were hit and began to drift. Command believed they were lost. Paul refused to accept that. He led his fighters close, using their own ships to block incoming fire. He shouted new orders on open channels, adjusting every few seconds. It was messy. It was loud. It worked. The drifting ships were pulled clear. Casualties were lower than expected. Paul returned with damage scars across his hull and no clear explanation for how it all held together. He simply said, "It felt right at the time." The aliens replayed the battle again and again. Human pilots did not behave like units. They behaved like thinking individuals who trusted one another. Inside the fleet, engineer Michael Reed fought a different battle. Enemy strikes damaged power lines, shields, and life support systems. Some systems were beyond proper repair. Replacement parts did not exist. Manuals offered no solutions. Michael ignored the manuals. He pulled parts from storage, from broken machines, even from kitchen equipment. He connected systems never meant to work together. When asked if it was safe, he answered honestly, "I don't know, but it might work." Sometimes it didn't. A power surge shut down a corridor. A shield failed sooner than expected. When mistakes happened, Michael reported them immediately. He did not hide errors to protect himself. Each failure taught him something. He adjusted and tried again. Others joined him. Engineers shared ideas freely. One suggestion fixed a cooling issue. Another caused a small fire that was quickly contained. No one was punished for trying. The goal was survival, not blame. The aliens recorded this with growing unease. Human systems improved during combat instead of breaking down. Failure did not slow learning. It sped it up. On the command deck, reports came in faster than they could be processed. Plans changed minute by minute. Old assumptions fell apart. Instead of freezing, officers adapted. They trusted people on the ground to make calls without waiting for permission. A navigation error sent one ship too close to enemy fire. The captain admitted the mistake at once. Another ship covered the retreat. Lessons were shared fleet-wide within minutes. The aliens' control models struggled. They required stable behavior to predict outcomes. Humans refused to be stable. During the final phase of the attack, enemy forces pushed hard, expecting exhaustion. Human responses became sharper. Pilots adjusted tactics mid-flight. Engineers rerouted power in seconds. Medical teams reorganized care as casualties changed. Lieutenant Paul Turner nearly lost his ship when enemy fire breached his hull. He ordered his wing to retreat without him. They refused. 2 pilots stayed, shielding his ship until repairs held. No command required it. They chose it. The aliens flagged the event as illogical. When the attack ended, the fleet was damaged but alive. Ships thought lost returned slowly. Some did not return. Grief followed. But so did action. Debriefs happened immediately. Mistakes were listed openly. No one claimed perfection. Michael Reed collapsed in a chair, exhausted and burned, but smiling faintly as systems stabilized. Paul Turner sat quietly in his cockpit, replaying decisions, already thinking about what to change next time. Alien records updated again. Predictive confidence dropped sharply. The observers had expected humans to rely on strict command or panic-driven instinct. Instead, they saw something harder to define. Humans shifted between structure and chaos without warning. They trusted experience, intuition, and shared purpose. Control systems failed to track this behavior. One alien analyst wrote a single line into the archive: "Human choice increases under threat." As the fleet moved forward, scarred but moving, the aliens understood something new. These humans could not be broken by pressure. Pressure shaped them. And that made them dangerous in ways no weapon could measure. Far from human space, the alien observers gathered to debate. Their screens showed the human fleet still moving, still resisting. Some aliens believed the end was close. Losses were heavy. Supplies were thin. Stress levels were high. In their experience, no species lasted long under such weight. Humans should break soon. Others disagreed. They pointed to patterns that did not fade. Learning continued. Cooperation deepened. Fear existed, but it did not paralyze. It focused. While aliens argued, life continued inside the human fleet. On one training deck, Laura Bennett stood before a group of new crew members. Some were young. Some were civilians who had never expected to wear a uniform. All looked tired and afraid. Laura was not a soldier by nature. Before the fall of Earth, she had been a teacher. Now she taught something different. She did not teach strict rules first. She taught thinking. Laura asked questions instead of giving answers. What would you do if systems fail? What if orders arrive too late? What if your leader is wrong? The crew members hesitated at first. Questioning orders felt dangerous. But Laura explained carefully. Respect mattered. Discipline mattered. But blind obedience could kill them all. She showed them past mistakes. Real ones. She explained what went wrong and why. No one was blamed. Every failure became a lesson. Crew members spoke up. They suggested ideas. Some were simple. Some were flawed. Laura listened to all of them. The aliens watched this with growing discomfort. Training without fixed answers created uncertainty. Their systems relied on certainty. Across the fleet, orders were still given. Command still mattered. But something had changed. Officers expected questions. Leaders expected feedback. When an order did not fit reality, it was challenged. Not with anger. With reason. Commander Mark Lewis once gave a route order that seemed safe on paper. A junior navigator raised concerns. The data was unclear, but the feeling was wrong. Lewis paused, considered, and changed course. He later thanked the navigator publicly. To the aliens, this looked like weakness. Leaders giving ground. Authority bending. But the fleet survived another hidden danger because of it. Support between humans grew stronger under pressure. Food shortages became shared burdens. Families rotated meals so children ate first. Engineers worked double shifts so medical systems stayed powered. Pilots rested only when someone forced them to. Fear was everywhere. No one denied it. But fear did not isolate people. It connected them. Dr. Emily Harris noticed this most clearly. Patients comforted each other. Wounded pilots joked to hide pain. Nurses taught basic care to civilians so everyone could help. Losses were mourned openly. Names were remembered. The aliens compared this behavior to other species they had studied. Most turned inward under threat. Humans turned toward each other. During one tense period, rumors spread of a coming massive attack. Anxiety rose. Tempers flared. Arguments broke out. The aliens marked this as the start of collapse. Instead, meetings were called. Information was shared openly. Leaders admitted what they did not know. Plans were discussed honestly. Fear did not vanish, but it became manageable. Laura Bennett spoke to her trainees again. She did not promise safety. She promised honesty. We will make mistakes, she said. We already have. What matters is that we learn faster than danger moves. The word spread through the fleet. When a ship suffered a critical failure and faced evacuation, volunteers came forward without orders. Escape pods were shared. No one fought for priority. The aliens recorded silence where chaos should have been. Alien debate intensified. Some argued intervention was needed now before humans grew stronger. Others warned that interference could provoke unpredictable responses. The data no longer supported easy outcomes. They reviewed human communication logs. Words like "we," "together," and "try again" appeared often. Commands were mixed with encouragement. Orders were paired with explanation. Resistance did not look like rebellion. It looked like cooperation. Fear sharpened human focus. Under threat, they noticed details faster. They shared information quicker. They adapted sooner. The aliens had believed fear weakened intelligent life. Humans proved otherwise. A senior alien analyst summarized the shift. Humans convert fear into alignment, the record read. The fleet passed through another dangerous region. Losses were avoided by quick decisions made without full approval. Trust replaced rigid control. Authority remained, but it was flexible. The aliens watched, unsettled. Weapons alone did not explain this endurance. Technology did not explain it. Strategy did not fully explain it. Shared will did. Humans believed survival mattered for everyone, not just themselves. That belief shaped every choice. As the fleet moved on, the aliens understood something critical. Even if the humans lost ships, even if leaders fell, resistance would continue. It lived in how humans thought, questioned, learned, and supported one another. Breaking their weapons would not break them. And for the first time, the aliens felt something close to doubt. Far from the human fleet, deep beyond the reach of any sensor, the alien observers made their final choice. For a long time, they had watched every movement, every argument, every small act of courage and doubt. Their records were full. Their models were broken. No clear future could be calculated anymore. So they withdrew. Silent probes powered down and drifted away. Observation channels closed one by one. Archives were sealed with rare markers used only for threats that could not be measured. Next to the name of humanity, a new label was added. Dangerous variable. Not because humans were the strongest, not because they had the best weapons, but because they could not be fully predicted, controlled, or broken in the usual ways. The aliens left without announcing themselves. Humans would never know how close the line had been, or how many times extinction had been discussed in quiet, distant rooms. Inside the fleet, life continued. On the Battlestar, James Carter stood alone near a small viewing window. He was not a commander or a hero. He worked maintenance shifts and helped wherever hands were needed. That night, he was off duty, staring out at the stars as they slid past slowly. He thought about Earth. Not the burning cities or the final days, but quiet memories. Morning light through a window. Simple meals. The sound of voices in a crowded place. He did not know if those memories hurt or helped anymore. They were just part of him now. Around him, the ship hummed with tired life. Repairs were ongoing. Conversations echoed through metal halls. Somewhere, children laughed softly. Somewhere else, someone cried. The fleet was still wounded, still hunted, still unsure of tomorrow. But it was alive. James rested his hand against the cold metal wall. He had been afraid so many times that fear felt normal now. It no longer froze him. It reminded him to pay attention. To help when he could. To speak when something felt wrong. He did not know that this simple way of living had saved his species. Across the fleet, leaders met to plan the next move. They did not pretend things were safe. Supplies were counted carefully. Routes were debated again. Everyone expected more danger ahead. Still, plans were made. Adjustments were built in. No one believed in perfect solutions anymore. That belief had died long ago. Lieutenant Paul Turner reviewed flight data, already changing tactics in his mind. Engineer Michael Reed finally slept after days awake, trusting others to keep systems stable. Dr. Emily Harris wrote names into a small notebook, refusing to let the dead become numbers. Laura Bennett prepared another training session, knowing tomorrow's crew would need to think for themselves again. Each of them acted differently. Each of them mattered. The aliens, watching from a final distance, studied their last images of the fleet. They expected to feel relief after withdrawal. Instead, unease remained. Human strength did not come from unity alone. Humans argued. They failed. They doubted leaders and themselves. But they kept choosing to continue together anyway. Alien records showed the truth clearly now. Humans did not wait for certainty. They moved without it. They accepted loss without surrender. They changed shape under pressure instead of shattering. One final alien report summarized it simply. Human resistance is not a tactic. It is a habit. The aliens feared habits more than weapons. As the fleet moved onward, stars passing like silent witnesses, no alarms sounded. No probes followed. For the first time in a long while, there was only quiet space ahead. James Carter smiled faintly as he watched a distant star flare and fade. He did not know why, but something felt lighter. Not safe. Just possible. Humans had lost their world. They had lost millions of lives. They carried grief like a shadow. Yet they also carried choice. Each day they chose to adapt instead of freeze. To speak instead of hide. To help instead of abandon. These choices were small on their own. Together they shaped survival. The aliens understood this too late to change their fear, but soon enough to step away. Some species ruled through control, some through force. Humans endured through decision. That made them unpredictable. That made them dangerous. And that was why, in the end, the aliens turned away from the human fleet and hoped never to face them again.